hacking is, you must first understand what hacking is. Perhaps an image in your head would be someone hunched over a computer, infiltrating computers, stealing data, breaking laws, etc. And while these people do exist, you'll also see that good hackers exist as well. So a good hacker the original definition and use of the word hacking was the amateur innovation of an existing system. So if you think about that without the negative connotation, hacking isn't even limited to computing. So with hacking defined, now you can begin to understand how civic hacking works, in that you apply an amateur innovation to an existing system to the town or community you live in, and resources available and the people around you. So next slide. A model civic hacker is Benjamin Franklin. He was a prolific inventor. He established the first the University of Pennsylvania, essentially, in a time when there wasn't a higher learning in the place where he lived. He involved himself and established the first public library in a time when books were expensive and hard to get. He saw the need for information and knowledge to be readily available. One of the other fascinating civic hacks was in this time period, house fires were fairly common and dangerous. So Ben Franklin got together with some of his friends and interacted with the community and formed the first volunteer fire department. So in the spirit of Ben Franklin's sort of civic hacking, we did a similar thing where we got a few of our friends together, we reached out to the community, and we held what was dubbed a hackathon. So a hackathon is essentially people getting together to see what they can come up with to improve their community. Perhaps with technology, perhaps not. So I guess I'll hand it over to Chris.
All right, so we actually know a guy a lot like Benjamin Franklin. His name is Bob Waldron, and he saw a need for a community of citizen hackers in the northeast Wisconsin area. So he set out pretty much single-handedly to organize the first Appleton Civic Hackathon, and that involved things like he had to secure sponsorships and a venue for the free event. He had to collaborate with the local government, and he actually managed to get the mayor of Appleton to come and be the keynote speaker. He had to design and print these t-shirts, and on top of all that, he blogged almost every day to raise awareness about the event and civic hacking in general. So his blog is actually a very good resource if you want to learn more about that. And I want to mention all that because Bob's efforts, our story is dependent upon Bob's efforts, and building a community is actually very hard work. All we did was show up at a place where we could code all day and grab a free lunch. So at that hackathon, we gathered with other technical and non-technical people. We shared our ideas about how to fix our own problems. So groups formed around those ideas to collaborate, and we had about 10 projects that day that we worked on. Some of those included how to geolocate flash floods in Africa using phones with no GPS capabilities, exploring ideas on how to reduce excessive railroad crossing noises, and finally locating the nearest bus stop using open data provided by the city of Appleton. So while we might have had some problems in common, we came with diverse backgrounds and skills, and that allowed for a lot of a broad range of progress to be made that day. There was no block on anything. There's a lot of simultaneous work going on. And you might wonder what we could even accomplish in one day. And it's true that if we stopped there, our story would end. But since then, we've had a number of mini hackathons that were vital to continuing the work that we started and continuing the momentum that we started at the original event. And once again, Bob was played a major role in growing the community around these events, and also once again, free food was involved. And we're not done yet either. While our first project is nearly done, we are still looking for more ways to collaborate with the local government to improve our community. So keep an eye out for the next Appleton event, or better yet, maybe I'll see you at the first TEDxDePereMiddleSchool Civic Hackathon. So now I'll let Mike R. talk about what we actually built that day.
Mm-hmm. So like Chris said, there was a bunch of groups working on different things, but we sort of coalesced as a group. And basically what we put together, it's a long story, but it started well before that Civic Hackathon, because Mike had been working for a while before the hackathon to basically, Appleton has a website like every city does, but all the information on that website is formatted for humans to read. And if you're trying to write any sort of application, it's really hard to take data that's formatted for a human to read and do anything useful with it. So Mike had been working before the hackathon to take that data, scrape it and turn it from human readable format into computer readable format. So one of the things he got out of that process was the ability to see just what is it recycling week this week. And he took that data and started working on an Android app, so you could put in your address and say, well, is it recycling week this week? And I thought that was a pretty cool idea, so I went over and talked to Mike. There was another guy there too, Ross. He was taking the same data that Mike had and making an app for his Pebble watch, so he could do the same thing, see whether it's recycling week. And so I mean, I thought these were cool ideas, but it really didn't help me out that much, because I live in Greenville, not Appleton, so I mean, it's a cool idea, but it doesn't really do much for me. So I started thinking, like, how can we share this data so that we can figure out when it's recycling week, no matter where you live. So I started working on a central sort of service so that you could figure out, so that we could centralize the data and make queries against it to figure out recycling week, no matter what city you lived in. And then Chris, he was also helping out, and he lives in Kaukauna, and Kaukauna didn't have any information whatsoever about the recycling stuff on their website. So he started digging in more and eventually found information for all of Allegheny County. So that really helped us out a lot. And then he started working on a website to view the data. So in the end, we had an Android app, we had a Pebble app, we had a website, all being able to tell you whether it's recycling week for a lot of the cities in the Fox Cities area, not De Pere. So if anybody wants to help us out with that, just come let us know. So, I mean, a couple quick other examples of civic hacks. Madison has a pretty big civic hacking scene. One thing that they've done, there's a project called SMS My Bus. If you're standing at a bus stop, you can see the bus stop number, the bus number you're waiting for, send a text. It'll send you back the ETA of that bus, how many minutes away it is. And hacks don't have to be technical either. One really good non-technical hack, you might have seen them around, there's a lot of them in Appleton, is little free libraries. So basically you build, it's a big mailbox, you just put it on your front lawn, put some books in there. Your neighbors can trade books with you. And it's a really good way to hack together a community, and there's nothing technical at all about that. So yeah, so just get involved, start hacking, and hack everything. So.
Thank you.